Thank you, Dr. Ajay. Good afternoon, everyone. Now, having seen all that is happening to the retina and diabetic retinopathy, all these cases are going to develop cataract. The incidence of diabetes is increasing, the duration of the diabetes, since their longevity is increasing, it is increasing, and the incidence of cataract is much more in diabetic than in the general population. And even in general practice, 20% of the cases that we operate for cataract have diabetes. And the cataract in these cases reduces the visual acuity, it interferes with adequate examination of the retina, and it makes retinal photocoagulation difficult. And the challenges of cataract surgery in diabetics are development or worsening of the macular edema, the progression of diabetic retinopathy, sometimes anterior segment changes, and increased chances of uveitis in the post-op period. The development and progression of macular edema in diabetics after cataract surgery has been estimated to be approximately 20 to 50%, and diabetic retinopathy progression and macular edema progression after surgery are the main reasons for decrease in vision or poor recovery of vision, and have been the focus of the research as been mentioned in the various research projects earlier. Phacoemulsification with a foldable IOL affects the blood-aqueous barrier more severely in diabetic than in non-diabetics. And it has been shown that the level of the VEGF is maximum at day 1 after cataract surgery and comes back to normal after 1 month of surgery. And the poor visual outcome of surgery are very strongly associated with the duration of the diabetes and preoperative status of the diabetic retinopathy, and it is mainly due to the macular edema. And the main cause of poor vision after lens surgery were complications of the proliferative diabetic retinopathy. This was from the ETR-DRS study. And the diabetic patients undergoing phacoemulsification appear to have a doubling of diabetic retinopathy progression at 1 year interval. And uncomplicated phacoemulsification does not cause acceleration of diabetic retina post-operatively, and any progression is probably due to the natural history of the disease. Now, the patient with different stages of diabetic retinopathy or different stages of the macular edema may be associated with cataract. The intervention will depend upon the stage of the diabetic retinopathy and the extent of the cataract. If the clarity of the lens or the media permits, then you will be treating the diabetic macular edema first. Otherwise, you will go ahead with the cataract surgery and immediately in the post-op period put your attention towards the macula. The preoperative workup, this is a case who had a well-controlled diabetes. His lipid profile was normal, he was not lasered, and he was operated elsewhere, and when he came he had a profound loss of vision, and this is how the retina looked after. Now, it is very important that preoperatively all cases who are undergoing cataract surgery, let your retina surgeon have a look at the retina and clear the case for you for cataract surgery. So a comprehensive preoperative workup should be an integral and compulsory part before you operate the cases. This is another case who was metabolically well controlled. The preoperative visual acuity was 612. He had a bilateral cataract surgery with lens implant in the eyes within a period of 2 weeks, and when he presented, his vision had gone down to 636 and gross macular edema in both the eyes. Now, this is the case where the attention was not paid to handle or take care of the macular changes before he was taken up for cataract surgery. A situation like this, patient has to have changes in the macula, take care of those changes, if need be laser, depending upon whatever decision you are going to take care of the macula first and then go ahead with the cataract surgery. This is a case showing changes in the macula. Fluorescein angiography shows changes. He had a laser photocoagulation done. 3 months later, the changes are regressed, and now is the time when this patient can be taken up for surgery. So the focal laser treatment should be done before undertaking the patient for cataract if the media permits. Otherwise, go ahead with the cataract surgery and let your retina surgeon take care of the changes in the post-op period. This is a case who had OCT. As you can see in the lower picture, you can see the changes in the foveal area. He had a pre-operation Avastin, following which phacoemulsification was done, and 3 months later the macula is in good condition with patient having good visual acuity. This is a 57-year-old patient, and the preoperative visual acuity was 624. Right eye underwent phacoemulsification. Right eye had injection and surgery. The changes you can see, the macular edema has reduced quite a bit, whereas in the left eye only phaco was done, the injection was not given, and you can see in the post-op period the visual acuity is also poor and the macular edema is still persisting. So macular edema after cataract surgery in eyes without preoperative central involved retinal macular edema also need equal attention, same as a central involving macular edema. So even if the central is not involved, these changes should be taken care of before the patients are taken up for surgery. And non-central diabetic macular edema should be managed first, depending upon how you plan to treat before you take the case for the cataract surgery. And use of anti-VEGF prior to cataract surgery is justified and should be followed up with the macular laser if required. The preoperative, there are a number of studies which show that the preoperative anti-VEGF reduces frequency and severity of the postoperative diabetic macular edema. This is case again who had an intra-op VEGF injection followed by a focal laser treatment, and post-laser 3 months later he was doing fine with the macula normal. Now this is a case 66-year-old person coming with poor vision and cataract, and fluorescein angiography shows that there is a macular ischemia. So this case has cataract, vision is 660, has ischemic maculopathy, and patient now in this situation he has gone ahead with the cataract surgery, but the visual acuity has improved best to 618. So this case shows that a preoperative counseling should be done to give a realistic visual outcome to the patient, so that they are aware that because of changes in the retina, ischemic nature of the macula, they are not likely to improve the vision, and they should be aware of it. This is another case where the media was very hazy to do the adequate treatment. The cataract surgery was done, and in the post-op period the laser was done. So that is another approach where if the cataract is to an extent where you cannot assess the retina properly, in that situation you go ahead with the cataract surgery and then take care of the retina issue. Now this is again a case with macular edema and injection Avastin and improving and remaining same after the cataract surgery. So these anti-VEGF, they have a very good role, and the literature shows that they have a great effect. The incidence in this study is, the difference in the incidence is between 5% and 50%, which is a lot. In this study with ranibizumab, the difference in changes is 22% and 3%. So this approach of using anti-VEGF before cataract surgery has really improved the post-op results after cataract surgery and reduced number of cases who have a poor vision later on. This is a case who presented with changes. Already a PRP had been done. He has changes in both the eyes. Now this case had a fluorescein angiography showed diffuse changes, and he had a laser done. The visual improved quite a bit, and then he was on antistatins also. And then he presents with 3 months later, he shows that there is a great improvement. On a follow-up, then he developed neovascularization, and his visual acuity still was 624, 8 months after the follow-up. He developed neovascularization for which PRP was done, and at 15 months follow-up, he developed cataract, posterior subcapsular cataract in both the eyes, and then he was taken up for cataract surgery. And with the preoperative proper management, he did fine. His proliferative changes were controlled, and he had a good vision. In these cases, a good systemic control, use of anti-VEGF, grid laser and lipid-lowering drugs help a lot. And once good metabolic is controlled, only then you should go in for the cataract surgery. And for PRP, you should wait for some time after PRP before you take up these cases for cataract surgery. This is a case showing that the Avastin is much more effective in these cases than injection Kenacort, which now we are not using at all because of its complications. Another drug which shows some promise is Nipafinac. It should be used for 90 days after the surgery, and in this trial, in this paper, it shows that it is effective in controlling macular edema in a statistically significant way. So similarly, another report which recommends Nipafinac for 90 days, and one report which says that even Ketorolac is effective in reducing the incidence of macular edema. So in diabetes and cataract, the key to better visual outcome depends on the pre-op complete retinal evaluation, including direct fundus examination, investigation, OCT, FFA, which is done by your retinal counterpart. You need to take decisions regarding the need for pre-operative laser, need for pre-op, intra-op, anti-VEGF, any other adjuvant therapy which is needed. Then the problems associated with the surgery, it has to be a good, perfect surgery with an experienced surgeon. Now with most of the lenses being the acrylic lenses, the choice of the lens is not that issue. But robo laser or femtocataract is the way to go in these cases because the amount of the phaco power used is minimum and the reaction in the post-op period is much less. And then the post-op management of diabetic retinopathy, and needless to say that the systemic control has to be very good in these cases.